Hi everybody, Dave Matthews for Champion Trading. What we're showing you today and demonstrating is a Brogli triple motion mixer. It's a vacuum jacketed mixer, about a 20-liter unit. This particular system has its own auxiliary heating and cooling with it. And by cooling, I mean it uses a supply of ambient or plant water attached to it, which is only used to reduce the heat that the heater would generate. Now, our glycol level is a little low, so we don't want to run too long. What we're operating on today, you see this black line here, this is a remote cord which connects right to the control panel of the Brogli and uses the internal temperature probe that's in there. Because we filled the tank with our own well water here, you're seeing a 27°C, which is the exact temperature of the water. If you go back to the internal, it's reading from the internal temperature probe inside the unit. Of course, we're heating up. We're going to switch that back. And like I mentioned, because we don't know what the glycol level, you'll see the heaters have come on right now because it's sensing the temperature is below the set point, which is set in here. We don't know the glycol level specifically because we just want to make sure that everything is operating within the system, so that's good enough for now. We're going to leave that off just so we don't damage anything. I'm going to take you around the mixer here for a minute. We're operating on 463 phase voltage. You'll see we've removed some of the covers to get in and start working everything. Has a small control panel on the outside which has a number of features. Raises and lowers the vessel, which lowers it down to the floor, and you can roll it away, of course, after disconnecting your lines. Has a center bottom discharge with a manually operated valve as well. And of course, see, I'm holding the switch shell. It automatically stops as there are two micro switches showing, telling the machine when it reaches the bottom of its limit and the top of its limit. I can't run the homogenizer without water, but we're going to demonstrate this. Here's the this is the scraper agitator as well as the secondary agitator you see behind here. The unit has two different speeds. That's the slow speed, and then we're going to go to the high speed. You probably notice the scrapers are off it right now. It will need new scrapers. The original ones were Teflon. And we can run the homogenizer. Oh, I'm sorry. The homogenizer. Just for a second, we don't want to run it dry. It does also have two speeds, so we're going to run that in the water for you too. So we're going to lift back up, bring the vessel up. You see it's internally illuminated. That's operating off the control system. Comes on all times. Has a sight glass over on this side with a small wiper inside it. I'm just going to put that underwater so we can run the homogenizer for you. Let me bring it over. You get a good look in there, Tim? Okay. This is the homogenizer. And Tam, if you come around this side a little bit, you can see up top, and can you reach up in there and see that? It's a simple timing belt pulley, the drivetrain, everything's real clean. We're going to drop down a little bit so you can see the homogenizer there. It'll splash a little bit. We're just getting to the edge here. Whoop. And it does have a higher speed as well. I'm going to just have to lift this up. I want you to be able to get a look in there too. And that's what you don't want to do. So it's pretty effective. Now the homogenizer, and I'll have to apologize, I'm not exactly familiar with all this, does have, let me drop this down one. The actual blade of the homogenizer is actually underneath here. It's only a small little homogenizing blade. And there is an adjustment where you can see, if you see carefully, I'm turning this here, and you can see this baffle system moving down into the homogenizer. Have to speak to Brogli how that works into your particular application. On the side here, you can see there's a vacuum pump in the rear of the unit, and we're going to show you that in a second. That's connected and goes through the cabinet on this line here. This is the chamber. Should any material be pulled from the chamber into here, would gather in here, and you can drain it off through this little valve. Of course, the vacuum gauge, and as you come around, Tam, come around the back, just go around behind me. The vacuum pump is a wet type pump. That's the pump you see located on the bottom here. And out to the right, Tam, you just show on the side, there are two water inlets, and that will be required to make a seal inside the pump. The other drives you see in here are for the agitators. So that will provide your vacuum to the unit. It's a completely self-contained unit. Also, up top here, this is a sealing chamber for the seal on the homogenizer. and you'll have to provide a sealing fluid to that as well. Everything's working great on it. Naturally, you'd have to probably consult the factory when you put it in to make things work for your application. Any tailoring, changing, perhaps heating fluids, different temperature ranges. And let me get one look for you, Tam, on the back of the heating unit here. Just a couple things. These are your inlets and outlets. This is the inlet and outlet. These are the cooling water ports I mentioned to you earlier that you would connect your water to, and of course a drain. The unit is Swiss made and is a beautiful piece of work. Everything's in beautiful condition, ready to run. We have lots of vessels like this in our stock, so I hope you'll visit our website at www.champtrading.com, and we certainly look forward to speaking with you. Thanks for joining us today.